every expert, author, or entrepreneur eventually asks the same question: how do I get noticed? Today, we're talking to my colleague in this visibility space who has made it her mission to help people, especially African American authors, speakers, and experts, step into the spotlight.
You are watching Influence Media, PSI TV, the Netflix of biz brands.
My guest today is Dr. Pam Perry, the CEO of Pam Perry PR and publisher of Speakers Magazine. She's widely recognized for helping authors, experts, and entrepreneurs step into the spotlight with confidence, connecting the right people at the right time, and positioning her clients to be seen, heard, and valued. Pam, I love that we're talking today because we have really been telling our audiences the same thing, that visibility is not an option in today's competitive market. And today, my audience is going to get yet a new perspective with your voice contributing to this conversation. Welcome, Pam.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Trudy. This has really been a honor and a privilege to be here with you talking about the stuff that I love, which is, and you love, visibility for those who really want to shine their light.
Absolutely. So you have another website, Pam, quickmediacoverage.com. That's actually the one I particularly looked at. And nowhere did I see directly mentioned a focus on the African American community. However, in our chat and in an email or something you sent me, you mentioned that, yeah, that is your focus to some extent. And I'm sure you can help anyone. But what would be your specific drive to focus on that community?
It's really about target marketing. So everybody has a target, whether it's youth, male, female, and the more niche you are, the better it is. And I always tell people you get rich in a niche, right? So
Mhm.
the main thing is that when you have a market that is African American, then you have African American press, African American radio, things like BET, TV One, Urban Radio One. There's 400 or so Black newspapers. There's 300 or 400 different uh, online newspapers and magazines for African American, whether it's The Root or it's Madame Noir. I know them off the top of my head. And so I know these people. So that's when I say it's African American, because you could do PR for a lot of different industries, but you would be spreading yourself so thin and you couldn't build relationships with the media. But if someone comes to me as an African American, say, hey, I'd like to know if you know anyone on, say, Tamron Hall or Sherry Shepherd or J Hud. Yes, I do, because that person used to be at the Amsterdam News, or that person used to work for Gospel Today, which is an African American magazine. So it's an ecosystem. It's
Mhm.
not about race. It's just an ecosystem of people that we know, and they happen to be in radio, TV, and print and online. And there's obviously we can get people on other type of media as well, major media or major platforms and things like that. But again, you're diluting the market instead of niching in on one in particular. If it's Black enterprise and you're a Black business, they will have more of an affinity to work with you. Just like if you were a woman and you would be in Women's Daily, or if you were a man in GQ, or a youth, highlights, I guess. So I can't remember if highlights is even still around, but everything has a niche. And so for my career, the last 3 decades have been primarily focusing on African American markets. So that's where even McDonald's has a ad agency, a PR agency, which I used to work for, that just targeted African American owner and operators. Even though McDonald's is food is for everybody, but there's different types of messaging to a particular audience that they will receive.
Absolutely. And I know you know this. I just love this is so amazing because I keep telling, some of my clients, it's like if you watch TV and you see Progressive Insurance, for example, on one ad they have seniors. On another ad for the
Yes,
same company, they'll have a young family. You
yes,
have to target correctly. But you also said that affinity, and that is so true because you know this is 2025, but honestly, we know that there are some organizations that have their preferences. And if
Mhm.
you're not part of their preference, then they're really not as interested in you. So
That's true.
absolutely, we're
That's
on,
true.
I hope people get that. This is key. We cannot be everything to everybody, but
No,
we can
you
be the
can't.
star for a certain group. Absolutely. So, Pam, let's talk about your journey into media and PR. What brought you to this space and why?
It's one of those things where it's just your calling, and I've always been a person that wanted to shine the light on others, promote others, recommend, refer, promote others, amplify what they're doing. I always see talent in people, and it started really from church. That was really where I started. So I wasn't a singer, could not sing.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
wasn't a person that would bring the word, but I knew that there were good singers and people who really were great speakers, and I just wanted more people to see them and hear them. That's where it started. And so for what I would do is I would do mailing, I would do postcards, I would do flyers, I would take them different places, I would share them. I would be like the walking billboard for advertising and promoting. And my pastor would say, "You get a lot of people at our special events." He says, it's like you're doing PR for Jesus. And I remember he said that, and I just kind of laughed. And then years later, much years later, probably 20 years later, my company started Ministry Marketing Solutions, and I work with African American churches, and I work with TD Jakes and things like that. So he kinda spoke it to me prophetically when I was a young teenager to what I majored in journalism in school. So, yeah, that's where it started. It's just an affinity for people who really are good at what they do, but they need other people to tell other people what it is that they do.
Yes, absolutely. Pam, I know you have a bunch of stories, but if you could give me one or two case studies of clients that you've helped and that outcome of working with you.
So that's kinda like saying, like, who's your favorite child, right? Like, they're all I will say one in particular, I think because she's right here. Not she's right here, but this particular person here, Dr. Geneva, she was on a billboard. This is actually a billboard that she was on for HAP. And when she first came to me, she didn't have a book, she didn't have a name, she didn't have, uh, a logo, nothing. I mean, really, she had retired out of nonprofit and she wanted to speak. So we built her platform from ground zero all the way to Billboard. So this came from a standpoint of I really connected her with a modeling agency because she's a senior. She's over 65. Doesn't look like it, but she's over 65. And she really became a part of that. And so people started noticing her, uh, putting her on television, newspapers, building up her website. Her main message was like, live a vibrant life. And that is what she is. She's a vibrant life coach. This so happened to be a part of a HAP campaign, but that became part of her moniker. So I would say, even drgenevaspeaks.com, she was like, I don't know what to name myself. I said, what do you want to do? I want to speak. So obviously and it was over a period of maybe about 3 or 4 years, but she didn't want to get on Instagram, Facebook. She didn't really want to do any of that, but now she really has her own podcast. She's got like hundreds of episodes. She is TikTok queen. She's an influencer on Instagram. So yeah, so that's kind of like a real fun story because I even had her in a contest, a pageant, so to speak, for people who were seniors, and she won. She didn't want to do that either. So just about a lot of things she didn't want to do, but she ended up doing it very well. But that's because she was coachable, and
Mhm.
she's written, I think now 7 books, and they're
Wow.
doing very well.
But
Mhm.
I like how you pulled out the fact that although she had this expertise and this message, she was still not really wanting to be visible. And sometimes
Not
we
at
have to
all.
literally
Push
push
people.
them, right? Push them.
It's
So
like, "You're
to
gonna do it."
get,
Yeah,
yes. And the result is what they want, but they literally have to be visible. And you accomplish that with her. So Pam, you and I have so much in common. And I just love it. I feel like I'm speaking to a sister from another mister. So anyway, I've been on your show, now you're on mine. Speak to the expert community about the value of collaborating with your peers. I
it is.
mean, honestly, discuss that part that allows us to do stuff like this when others are like, nah.
No, you have to find your people who vibe with you, people who you can help, people who can help you. That's really relationships are everything. I remember I told, a young lady who was a fashion designer, and fashion is everywhere. And she was like, I'm trying to sell my fashions, it's not working, and people aren't really paying attention. And I knew she was Jamaican. She came from the United States. She's living in Ohio. And I said, well, find your people that are from Jamaica and Ohio. And so she did. She found the restaurants and that kind of thing. And they began to support her, and then she became more like their favorite, and they were sharing it with other people. The same thing with my cousin who married someone who was Nigerian. He found her people. That's like the first thing you do is you find your people, and then they endorse you and support you, recommend you and refer you, but don't try to go out there and be everything to everybody like you said. So you find your people, and when they have the same vibe and they seem to have heart as you, it's easier for you to collaborate with them. And you'll find that like people hang together, and then they'll refer you to their friends and their friends and their friends. No one blows up overnight, and no one blows up because you got a great Instagram. It's relationships. I mean, before it became social media, it was social networking, and people networked online. Then it became social media where you got to buy ads and da 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 da. But it really is, it comes all back to relationships. That's what public relations means. Public relations, relationships with that media relations. That part will never go away. I don't care if we have AI and all this stuff. AI cannot replace a relationship. That's really key.
Absolutely cannot replace a relationship. And I just love this. So from your vantage point, Pam, what makes an expert or an entrepreneur ready for media exposure?
That is so most people think they're more ready than they really are. And not to put shade on anybody, but most people think they're more ready. Like they will have a book, and of course, when Oprah had her TV show, when she did the Oprah Winfrey show, every author would come to me, I want to get on Oprah. And it's like you and a gazillion other people. So there's certain things that you need in order to have the media say yes. You need obviously a good platform, meaning that how when someone is in beauty pageant, it's like, well, what's your platform? So what is it that you're standing for? What are your key messages? Find out what that is. Make sure that is, and then build on that. So your platform will be people who are interested in what you do on your email list, on your social media. They're buying your books. They're inviting you to speak. You have a platform. You have people who are connected to you that are your super fans, I guess you would say, people who are your super fans. And that's really like the start of it. It's like the media doesn't want to take someone unknown and then make them known. They want someone already known, and then they bring them on to really just amplify them. So I tell people, I said, make sure your platform is together, make sure your online things, your website, your photos, your videos, all those things are congruent and they're branded and they look like a Fortune 500 company, even though you may be starting out. And so that's one of the things people fight with me about. And it's like, well, I don't need to, I got a good photo from my phone. I have this and it's like, it's okay. It's fine. I said, but if you want to get on major television, you in radio and in major media, you need to look major. Because the
Hmm.
worst thing to do is to say, I want to get on Good Morning America, and you can't, and you don't have the capacity for that type of exposure. So there's a lot of things. I always tell people start out local first, then go regional, and then really move into building your online platform. Most people, you know, really aren't overnight success. It may take them years. It used to say
Hmm.
10 years, but with the internet, at least 5 years to really build a strong brand. I have a client who has written books probably for 20 years. And now people say, oh my gosh, she's so famous. I just heard of her. No, she's been doing this for 20 years. Okay. She's Valerie Burton has been doing this for 20 years on the grind for a long time. Now people hear about her, but her email list is about 20,000 people. And she has been growing it over years. So it does take time to be consistent and be a thought leader in your area.
One of the things I found, I'm sure you've seen it too, because you kind of alluded to it, is just because someone's written a book and they send a pitch, I get the pitches all the time. They want to be on my show. And I'm like, that's not all it takes. Now, I have decided to be a more startup friendly TV channel. because people don't understand. There are some platforms, even if you don't have to pay to play on that platform, if you don't have a minimum of at least 5,000 followers on something, they won't even look at you. Just
That's
because
right.
you've written a book or it just doesn't work like that. And just, I'm glad you answered that question that way, because people, especially when both of us are saying the same thing, guys, I hope you're getting it. You've got to do the due
Right.
diligence,
Yes.
and you don't know what it is unless you work with someone half the time, because you can probably try and Google it yourself, but you really are going to get chunk, and it's not going to be a cohesive platform or understanding of what needs to go into being media ready.
And the
So thank you.
sequence of things too.
And the
What goes
sequence.
first, second, and third. Yes. You
Yep.
can Google it, but you won't know what sequence to do the
And
things that
which
they tell
matters
you
the
to do.
most to different platforms. Absolutely. So I think this kind of question kind of probably overlaps a little bit. So Pam, many people view PR and branding as overlapping, and they often confuse the two. How
Yeah.
would you explain the difference to a client? And when working with your client, how do you help them achieve a mix of both?
Well, you can't get PR unless you have a brand because that really is the
That part.
main messaging. So you need
Yeah.
a brand first in
Right.
order, like with Geneva, the Vibrant Life coach, and then she was on local television and radio and that sort of thing. She had a brand first, then they get the
Mm-hmm.
PR. The PR is just really the outreach of
Mm-hmm.
what it is, the essence of who you are and what your brand is about. So the PR, the public relations, is reaching out to radio, reaching out to television, podcasts, magazines, newspapers, online publications as well. And that's what quick media coverage is. It gives people a lot of online visibility first. It's telling their story in a third party way. Like you're bringing me on now, I could do a YouTube by myself, but I'm interviewing now because you're the you're a third party endorsement for what I'm talking about. And so a lot of times people think, oh, I got social media, I don't need PR. Well, it's just you caring about you.
Right.
That's not good. That's not good.
That's an echo chamber.
Yes. It's like you need someone to really validate what you're saying or someone
Yeah,
to endorse what you're saying. So that's
exactly.
why, yeah, branding is
And people
important.
need to build their PR more portfolio.
Yes, they do. They should have something at least every single month. They really
Mm-hmm.
should. At least one media hit, if not one once a week. If you're in business, you should continually have public relation hits, whether it's a podcast or whether it's a television show
Press
segment
release, whatever.
at
Mm-hmm.
every single, at least every single month.
And stack them somewhere, because the higher tiered experience you want to have is they're going to look at this stuff and think, like you said, they don't want to be the one that brings a startup on. They want the seasoned guest that's going to make their show look as good as they want to look. So,
Yes.
oh wow. So
Yes.
one of the challenges as a service provider is sometimes being a product of the product. There are times that chefs eat microwave meals, stylists are themselves in need of hair care, and it's so easy for you and I to become so busy about serving others that we lose focus on ourselves. So, Pam, how are you making sure that you are your own best case example and keeping your own brand in the spotlight?
I always tell this for all of the speakers and authors I work with. If you're a speaker and author, never go anywhere without either your book or a bookmark. So for me, I have my magazine, and the magazine has information about my clients in it, obviously. But at the very beginning, I'm the publisher, so you'll see that. So I don't care wherever I go, I have something that outside of a business card, whether it's my book, it's my magazine, it's a postcard that talks about an upcoming event, or a little postcard that gives people uh, that I write press releases. It's something that you have to do when you talk to people and share with people. They obviously you can give them a business card, but if you give them something bigger, they won't lose it or throw it at the bottom of their purse. So I am always, and people tease me about it too. Says you are always going to have something to give away. I sure am. I sure am, because people need to remember. They will not remember what you tell them. And business cards used to work, but they don't work anymore because I have stacks and stacks of them. And if I'm looking for one, I can't find it because they all look the same.
Oh, I just did a video on, I had a bunch of business cards, and of the 40 that I had in my hand, 6 had pictures on them, Pam. 6.
Yes.
So I'm like picking up this business card. I'm like, who's this toss? Who is this toss? People don't understand it, you know. Oh, but anyway, so
Pictures
Pam,
work.
is there,
Pictures work.
yeah, absolutely. Is
Mhm.
there anything else that you'd like to share?
The main thing too is I want people to know that it doesn't happen overnight. When you see someone who has quote unquote made it, know that if you do a reverse engineer of where they started, you will then see all the work that they did. And that is like I did a video yesterday for Cheryl Wood, who has been celebrating 15 years as a speaker. Well, she just got back from Spain and she has a whole global speakers academy. She's doing all these wonderful things. 15 years. Okay. You may have just heard about her yesterday, but she's been on the trail 15 years. Not saying that it has to take 15 years, but a certain point of time, give yourself some time to be consistent. Give it like
Mhm,
at least like when you're having a baby. There's a first
mhm.
trimester, second trimester, third trimester. So give something 9 months to really germinate and grow. It's like it starts as a seed and then it grows. No seed goes in the ground immediately. You've got a big tree. So give it time and then have the right people around you.
I just got off the call with a guy who was just on my show, just put the show out, and he was like, I have 2 of the books, and I want to see the next book when I come on your show, but I want to see the results of the. I said,
It's not
this
gonna
is
happen
an
overnight.
awareness campaign. I
Yeah,
said,
this we don't have a
magic
magic
what? I said, this
wand.
is not magic. I said, this is an awareness campaign. My clients, my viewers know me and they'll check you out, but that doesn't mean they'll love you, but it's at least you get introduced to a new audience. I said,
Yes. You've gotta
I'm like,
warm them up. And
yeah,
they think
it's
it's a
like
magic button. I'll tell
magic
them, he
one.
says, "I
Yeah.
have no magic wand." I said, "This is a toy. This is
Yes,
not what happens."
exactly.
Yeah,
So yes, I love it that they really do need to put some seasoning in this thing. You know, you don't plant a seed and get an orchard the next day. That's just not how it works.
right.
So there you have it, guys. Dr. Pam Perry is my guest today, and you can get connected with her over at quickmediacoverage.com. That's a great place to start because, as she said, that's where you get that quick online exposure, get your name and some backlinks and all that good stuff going on, and get your SEO juice going and get your awareness being built up. Dr. Pam Perry, thank you so much for being my guest today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Trudy. Thanks for having me.